a new one, but it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, they must have just finalized it when they were doing the head coaching stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll let you talk about that. I missed that. And then for the ESPN 300.
Right.
There were certain players you wanted to talk about because I didn't.
Well, let me see. Let me get that up real quick because I kind of wanted to get that up actually. I mean, I have to log on as I have a insider subscription through.
Yeah, I have the ESPN Plus too.
Well, through one of my sign-ons, but I have several sign-ons. So.
Well, there's one guy in the top 5's not signed. Hey, you got a number 12 overall for Michigan State.
I know. We got did all right. We usually do all right recruiting. But...
Where's Florida? Are you going to get somebody here soon? How far do I got to scroll? My God, yeah. 62.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, this Lakeland High School, they signed like 3 kids from that team. And that apparently the tight end, that Keon Zipper, is pretty good.
Yeah. I actually have him on the team. Oh, I'm like, what is this music? I still have music going in the background. Okay. I don't know why it's still going. Let me see. Just real quick, I'll get this up so we can blow into that.
Oh, you're good.
Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, there's that.
Oh, we should probably bring up this Missouri with their bowl ban.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. You want to throw that in, or do you want me to?
I'll just get it.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it.
Kelly Bryant's apparently staying. He's not going to transfer.
Yeah, that sucks for him. I'd be pissed.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, apparently he can transfer again. So, I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't judge him, but, I mean, that is pretty annoying.
Oh, geez, I missed that, too. Graham Harrell's replacing Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, that was a couple days ago, but I thought that was a big deal. I mean, I could talk about that.
Yeah, I like Graham Harrell.
I like a lot what he did with Mason Fine at North Texas.
Right. Here we go. That's what I want. That's what I was looking for. Oh wait, where's it at? Catch up the monster inside of my head. I didn't think there was any of the 300 that caught my eye. Not really. But there was one that had a breakdown of exactly how many Alabama's got 1 5-star, but like 25 4-stars. It's like, holy shit.
That's ridiculous.
That's just wrong.
Back to ranking index. Maybe that's where you got to go. Nope.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Something. Well, because that picture was on the front there.
Rankings by region, JUCO 50. Dang. I need to play around on this more.
Okay.
Tight ends, YH, dual threat, pocket passer. Shit. Yeah, kickers.
I like a 24/7 for that. 24/7 is awesome for the breakdown of classes and stuff.
Here's class rankings.
I got it finally. Yeah, it's right on the side there, like right on the left. Quick links.
Shit, where'd I go?
But I wanted to bring up that Missouri story and find out a little more about it before we dove into it.
Yeah, it was apparently something with
academic fraud. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tutor.
Freaking tutors.
Well, and apparently the NCAA said Missouri handled it better than any other college has.
Well, yeah. Well, they don't really have much to lose, honestly.
Yeah, but apparently they were still like, "Oh, that's cute." UCF's got 28 commitments. That's as many as Alabama.
Surprised Michigan was it Michigan? Ohio State was 13th. That kind of surprised me.
I think Urban Meyer. Nobody
the transition, yeah.
Yeah, he wins this year. That won't matter next year.
Right.
USC dropped 3 because they lost, what's his name, McCoy.
Yep.
And Texas went up 4 because they got McCoy.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm just wow. Sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everybody to Devy Happy Hour episode 2. Providing Devy. I'll start over actually. I'll make sure I'm recording. Yeah, I am. Okay. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to Devy Happy Hour. This is episode 2, where we try to provide Devy insight and ways to improve your Devy rosters, as well as to look at the entire college football landscape. And right now we're focusing on the NFL draft with each of our episodes. You can find us on Twitter at Devy Happy Hour, and our email is devyhappyhour@gmail.com. A very special thank you to Tyler Gunther at DHH_Tyler for reaching out to us and giving us another avenue to provide Devy information for you guys. And right now, this isn't just me. I'm going to introduce my co-host, Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm fired up in the negative 30,000 degree temperature. Drew Lock has me all melted and ready. That sounded a bit sexual. I apologize.
Whoa, trucker flag. What are you doing over there, buddy? We're at hand check anyways. Yeah, we hit negative 41 today, and we're supposed to be 45 on Sunday. So
yeah, 51 here on Sunday. So
like a 90 degree swing. That's normal, right?
It was negative 75 for our listeners in Grand Forks, North Dakota the other day.
They expect it up there, though. You live in Canada, pretty much. That's
true.
All right, we're gonna dive right in. Read the news of the week. They got some pretty good headlines this week. DK Metcalf, who I believe is he still your number one, Andrew, for wide receivers?
After you read this headline, he's officially going to be my number one.
Exactly. He's been cleared for football activities and not just combine. He is cleared to play football. He is entirely cleared.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Mike Williams had the similar injury we talked about coming out of Clemson a couple years ago. You see now in his second year, now that he's fully healthy, what he's able to do and bring to that Chargers offense. I think DK can be a wide receiver 1 for any team that he goes to. So especially in fantasy and everything like that, we just had our rookie mock. I think he was somewhere in the top half of the first round. I can't remember offhand, but yeah, no, he's definitely worth a top 5 pick in your rookie drafts coming up.
Right. Yeah, it's good to hear that he's cleared, for contact and everything already. That's awesome. He should be able to focus on the combine and not have to hold back any, which would be critical for him. Another big news, and I actually just saw this, even though it happened yesterday. Graham Harrell has been signed by USC to replace Cliff Kingsbury at USC for their offensive coordinator. I absolutely love that move there at USC. What do you think, Andrew?
I love Graham Harrell, both as a player. I liked him at Texas. Him and Crabtree, Mike Leach were fantastic. And then he went to North Texas the last couple of years, and he was the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator there. Had a pretty prolific offense. Should have had back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons, but he got injured in this year's bowl game. I think prevented that. But regardless, very prolific offense. He was able to get out in North Texas. So with the recruiting ties that USC can bring in and the type of athletes and players they can bring in, I think Graham Harrell can be a fantastic offensive coordinator and potentially a future head coach in college.
Oh, I agree. I like his mind. He's one of those guys that thinks outside the box, and does things a little differently, which I really like. Another head coaching news. I think it's just official now. Lincoln Riley is officially extended. It's $6 million a year, and the incentives are insane. I think it was like $725,000 extra to stay another year or something every year. I mean, he's got like these crazy incentives trying to make him stay as long as he possibly can. So I mean, that dude's set for a while, and he's earned it. I mean, he's definitely earned it by turning that program around. So back-to-back Heisman winners. I mean, you can't complain. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Especially that he brought in Jalen Hurts. So he's just going to keep excelling there in Oklahoma. He's definitely done a more than capable job of replacing Bob Stoops. So now I think Lincoln Riley is one of the top coaches of college football, top 3 at least. I'd probably say Saban, and can you name anybody else offhand?
Dabo.
Yeah, Dabo. Okay, so yeah, I'd be comfortable putting Riley behind those two.
I think so too.
So yeah, I mean, top 3 coach.
I'd like to see a couple more years before I put him up there, but he's angling that direction. I don't see him slowing down. So it's what he's done in a short amount of time at Oklahoma is pretty amazing. And we'll dive into the recruiting classes. He's got the 4th ranked one right now, so he's just reloading for another year, just getting stronger and stronger. He's got a lot more defensive players coming in, which is impressive to me, obviously. Another quick note, this is not a huge thing, but Missouri is got a bowl ban for next year due to an academic sanction, which will affect the guy that just retired.
Kelly Bryant.
Yeah, that will affect Kelly Bryant, although Kelly Bryant is still saying he's going to stay there and play for them, which is kind of good news, despite the fact that they are not going to be able to play in the postseason next year. So kind of interesting, kind of quiet. I doubt you'll hear much about it. Missouri is not, I know they're in a major division, but they're not like a powerhouse football team right now. So it probably go kind of quietly.
No, they had weapons. Brian, obviously, he's a decent college quarterback. And then Alberto returned for his senior year, which is unfortunate because now he'll miss out on the
right.
That doesn't hurt his stock at all, whether they play in a bowl game or not. There's enough tape out on him. So no, it stinks for the players. They don't get to experience a bowl game. I think off. I'm not even going to bother mentioning because they're in the SEC West. But no, it's like I said, for the players that want to go pro, there's enough tape out on them. Losing one game shouldn't hurt them. I mean, look at all the guys at Mississippi for Dawson Knox, Metcalf, AJ Brown.
Right, they can still play in the Senior Bowl and the NFLPA bowls. They can still play in those. And honestly,
right, yeah, and then there's their extra game and all the practices that come with it.
I mean, if anything, it might take a slight hit to the recruiting, but they're not exactly a power recruiting school either. So, yeah, but still, you kind of hate to see and academic things. So you kind of hate seeing stuff. They acknowledged it, they took care of it, which is good to see. But yeah, and then just real quick, there's only 41 of the top ESPN top 300 incoming freshmen next year for college. There's only 41 of the top 300 are unsigned. And no surprise, Alabama's leading the way. They have, let me see the breakdown real quick here. They have currently, sorry, my computer's slow. They have 28 committed, 26 4-stars. 1 3-star was a kicker, actually. I saw that story there, including the number 2 running back, Trey Sanders, he's going to be another one right in their lineage of amazing backs. So, yeah, just reload every year. That's all they do. Surprising, actually, I was surprised Texas A&M was 3rd, which I thought was pretty impressive.
That's Jimbo Fisher earning his money.
Because they got 25 recruits, 17 of them 4-stars, 1 5-star. But then Texas is 3rd, Oklahoma 4th, and Texas 5th. So look out for the Big 12 coming up there. Geez. Or A&M's SEC now. Damn it. I'll never get used to that, I tell you. Some schools.
It's okay.
Yeah, I have trouble. I still think Nebraska's in the Big 12 half the time, and they're in freaking stupid Big 10 now. So some things never change, man. I'm just too old to change my ways. Texas, let me see, Texas 5. And rounding out the top 10, Oregon, Michigan, LSU, Clemson, Notre Dame, Florida at 11, which is nice. Penn State at 12 and Ohio State at 13 was kind of a surprise. Wisconsin not even up there at all, which kind of shocked me in the top 20. So, yeah, so just going to gloss over that real quick. It's something we'll dive a lot more into in future episodes when we get past the draft, and maybe some of the Devy Owner's Manual will break down some more of the classes and things like that, and the guys that you'll start to learn their names next year. So, anything else on that, Andrew?
It's doing okay.
Huh? You okay? Did I lose you?
We good?
Yeah, there you are. I'm like, anything else? You're like, screw this, I'm out of here.
No, it's that I lost connection. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, who knows? Out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, but I didn't hear anything after you talked about Florida being at 11.
Okay, we'll just end with that. So that's a quick recap of the classes. Like, we'll dive a lot more into that in future episodes. Right now, we're going to focus more on the draft and players you need to worry about right now. And speaking of those players, we're going to go over the Senior Bowl recap. They finally had the actual game on Saturday. But like last week, there was so much talking about the practices and stuff that once the game came, it was kind of anticlimactic, it seemed. But offensively, Andrew, beyond practice, which I think Deebo Samuel pretty much blew up and was the name coming out last week. We talked about him. But the game really wasn't that inspiring, it seemed like. It was, not a lot of guys got a lot of reps. So who else did you see that their stock rose, more during the week and then also the game offensively?
Much Wes Hills had his dreams crushed because his one run of the game was a solid 21-yard run where he was running up the side. But then at the goal line, he had his ankle rolled. Didn't see much action. People that help themselves the most, I would probably say Daniel Jones the most. He had a pretty bad week in practice. I think he came as close as he could to coming out of the whole week even. But, I mean, he had a decent enough game. He was the MVP where I think it's going to make some people put the wool over their eyes and make them forget about the bad week he had. As far as the game itself, nobody really jumped out to me a whole lot. The game is so hard because it's kind of like a walkthrough at times just because nobody wants to get hurt. They're going to get ready for Combine and Pro Days. So, but no, Daniel Jones, I'd say if I had to pick a winner, it's probably the easiest cop-out possible just because he won the MVP. But he needed to have an MVP type of game after the week he had down there and the way everyone talked about it.
Right.
And then for you, Dwight, defense was really the talk of the week, especially with the one-on-ones with the defensive line. Who were a couple players that stood out for you in the game, and you just saw their stock rise overall?
Yeah, I think we talked briefly about it last week, but Montez Sweat was a huge winner. He put himself, like any questions he had, I think were answered last week, and he should creep into the top 15-ish area, which is kind of good to see. And another name that he actually looked a lot better. He didn't pop out as much in practice. I mean, he was good in practice, but during the game, Kalen Sanders from Western Illinois, he had the first sack, and then he did a forced fumble, I believe, as well. And he looked explosive, and he's a big guy, 6'2", 300 pounds, just powerful as all hell. Kind of like Dalen Mack, who's another name that stood out last week. Not as much in the game, but those two guys definitely kind of solidified their stock. And maybe, there's still probably Sanders and Mack are most likely going to be day 3 picks. Might creep into day 2 because of how deep this draft is. They needed something to stick out because of how deep it is, and both of those guys I think definitely earned themselves a bigger draft spot. I didn't see any losers per se. I mean, I think I'm the first one to bring up Stake the Football this week. They had mentioned that nobody really hurt their stock. They didn't think, but a couple guys helped it, but nobody really hurt their stock. So. And you had one guy that stood out for you, Andrew?
Yeah, now, and to add to your Kalen Saunders note, I mean, he before the Senior Bowl, the viral video of him doing the backflips, his size went out. And then during the week for weigh-ins, right before he's about to walk out, he's on FaceTime with his fiance, and he has a baby born. And he's like, oh, no. He's like, I'll be okay. I'll weigh in, and I'll stick down here and earn the money for the baby. And Connor so elegantly put it during one of the podcasts down there. I can't remember if he made the recording or not. You can go home and your baby can wear Gap, or you can stay down there and your baby can come back wearing Gucci in a couple of years. So he helped himself a lot, and then during the game, he got the first sack. He had a beautiful move up the middle, sacked Will Grier. But my favorite defensive player of the week, and as far as that game, Nasir Adderley, the defensive back out of Delaware. Delaware has the funky mock Michigan helmets where it's a little bit of a lighter blue, same design and everything. But Adderley came out of there with a lot of teams, from what I'm hearing, is they have him listed highly at corner, and they have him listed. He can kind of be that hybrid type defensive back where he can just make plays for a team. And he was shutting down receivers in practice too in one-on-ones. So he's definitely going to be one to talk about. I think he could even be a first-round player potentially with the way Deontay Thompson played in the national championship game in the playoff. I think he has a chance. And with Taylor Rapp, he'll be in the conversation for the top safety in the draft.
Yeah, definitely. About a month ago, I thought leading up to the draft, it was going to be a better safety draft than it looks like it's going to be, with Thompson fading a little bit. Rapp this year didn't help himself out much. Juan Thornhill is a good-looking safety, but and then Adderley as well. I think all four of those guys could potentially now fall to day two. I mean, there's just no, there might be a team that really falls in love with one and takes them in one, but it's not as strong of a safety draft as I thought it was going to be, which unfortunately. But yeah, I meant to bring up the Kalen Sanders thing. He's an interesting story, and I think the fact that he stayed down there, it shows a lot of dedication to football too. And because you hear a lot of some of these guys, I guess they get their will to play gets questioned. And I think that was one that you hear about some guys. Every once in a while you hear a buzz that they don't love football. And it's obviously this guy loves football, man. That's
for sure.
You want to see that, especially when you're not a first round or a second round, and you got to fight for your reps. You love to see that type of stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, that's
small school in Illinois. You gotta stay, and now he's going to be in everyone's mind because of the 3 viral things he had happen within the week. So no, it was a good week for him for sure.
Yeah, so a 300-pound guy doing a backflip, that's amazing. I'd like to try that.
I just have an ambulance there waiting. Put food in my mouth.
Just have an ambulance waiting because my happy ass is going to the hospital. Anyway,
right.
All right, just real quick, what we've got coming up next. The next 2 big things on the docket is obviously the Combine's coming up. That is February 26th through March 4th. That's in Indianapolis. I think Andrew and I are both hoping to be down there for the Saturday of that to Stick to Football is going to have a broadcast there, and we both would like to be there. So we're going to try. And if any of you are listening and planning on being there, please let us know. We'll try to meet up with you guys while we're down there. And then after that, of course, the draft, April 25th through the 27th. That's in Nashville this year. And I know I'm planning on being there for sure. And Andrew's going to
I will not be. I can tell you now, I will not be after Mobile and potentially Indy.
I think Lexi's going to not.
Yeah, if I do go, I will just stay down there because
that's
I will
just
not be
it. If it's between Indy and Nashville, I think I'm going to take Nashville. But I think my wife, because I live about 3 hours from Indy and I have my best friend lives there, I should be able to swing down and it won't be a big deal.
I'm about 6 hours, so.
Yeah, a lot different. Anyways, so what we're going to do this is the draft season. This is everybody's getting ready for the draft. And, we've been watching all these college players. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to do a couple of these each week. I've decided to call it the Big Tens, where we'll do 10 minutes on one prospect. I'm literally going to set a timer. We're just going to go crazy for 10 minutes on this guy. And then we're also going to do some Power Fives, which we're going to do 5 minutes on a guy. So just like I got this idea from last off season. Elliot Christ had a Draft Daily podcast where he talked for like 15 minutes on one prospect. And they were awesome little you dive into as much as you can in 15 minutes and then just done. Never talk about them again. Obviously, we'll probably talk about these guys again. But we're just going to go through this week because we had so much leading up to it. We're going to go through one Big Ten, and we're going to go through one big Power 5 this week. So for the Big Ten this week, Andrew, my co-host, has chosen Drew Lock.
After flip-flopping about 5 times.
Yeah. Kyler Murray. So I watched tape on Kyler Murray. DeMarcus Lodge. I'm going to watch tape on DeMarcus Lodge. Drew Lock. God, Andrew Peckwan, damn it.
Well, the Draft Network released Kyler Murray today. They did their big breakdown on him. So I was like, people don't want to hear 2 of those in a week. So,
yeah.
But
all right. We're going to start the timer here. 10 minutes. Real quick, a rundown of Andrew Luck. He is 6'3", 223 pounds. He has 9 3/4-inch hands, which are, I think, pretty average. He will turn 23 this November. Quick stat-wise, he had an amazing 2017 where he completed 57% of his passes for nearly 4,000 yards, 44 touchdowns, 13 picks. This year, he kind of faded a little bit. His percentage completion did go up to 62.9. 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and 6 rushing touchdowns, which kind of surprised me this year. Only I think it was 150 yards, so it wasn't like he was out there, like brushing it in from 50 yards out or anything. So, Real quick, Andrew, lead us on the way. What do you like about Drew Lock?
What I like about Drew Lock? Well, I would have to say, for pros that I have written down from the games I watched. Now, I watched a couple games where I looked at his game log. I found the games where he did crazy stats. Obviously, the smaller schools like Wyoming, and then 2017, the opener against I can't remember if it was Northwest Missouri State, something like that. Couple of decent games like Kentucky and South Carolina he's played, and then some bad games like Auburn and Georgia from this past year. My biggest thing with Locke was always the competition and everything. But as far as what he did good, he's several times I watched him drop it in the bucket in the back of the end zone. What I mean by that is you have that drill where you're just the quarterback, you're 10, 15 yards out, and you just kind of do a soft little drop back, try to drop it right in the perfect back corner of the end zone where only your receiver can make the play. So that way it's a low percentage of being a turnover. He was pretty decent at that, I will say. That was the most touch I saw from him, foreshadowing into the cons. More comfortable rolling out. I definitely think he was just more relaxed once he got out of the pocket. I don't know if it was because he didn't trust his offensive line or what was going on there. He can show quick release at times. Several times he had on quick slants, quick little darts. And leading into that, I think he's most effective with the short routes and getting the ball out quickly. A lot of his completions that I was watching were within 10 yards of each other, or within 10 yards. Everything was under the first down marker for the most part. He will occasionally dab into the deep ball for sure. And when he does look effortless when he throws the deep ball. He has a lot of his touchdowns were deep ball touchdowns. Several of his touchdowns were also receivers and tight ends making plays for him.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got to let my dog out before she shits on the floor. Hold on.
Good.
Sorry, you were on a roll, and I was like, shit. She gets impatient.
Literally shit.
Yeah, she will. Just give me just a second. I gotta. Oh, she's old. She's old. And
I'm good. I'm just working where I'm at.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good.
It's too cold. I can't leave her out for more than a minute or two.
Oh, I know.
Although it's only negative 13 now, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say today wasn't too bad, but it was still cold.
Mm. Yeah, that was good. You want to stick you'll see, you'll learn as we go. 10 minutes isn't a whole lot of time. I mean, obviously we'll fudge it a little bit,
Yeah.
But you'll see you were kind of doing a little bit big of a lead up there, but it's fine, I think. So we still want to talk. You still want to talk about it. I mean, because that's what I did. I like to watch a game or two that they don't do as well at.
Yep.
And then I like to see a game that they light it up, but against a decent team. I'm not going to watch them light it up against Northwest Louisiana State. But if he lights it up against Georgia, I'll watch that game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. He didn't light it up against the good teams.
Right. But those are also the games that he had no time. He also, like, he had no time.
Yeah, no. If he gets pressure, he's just like, nope, I'm out of here.
Even an illusion of pressure. That's what I noticed. Like, just any sort of like remote pressure.
Yeah,
like
I'll talk about that in the cards.
His presence isn't very good yet.
No,
that comes with time.
I gave him a 1 on several of those.
All right, just a sec. Alrighty. Damn it. What are my headphones doing here? Okay.
I'm good.
All right, go.
As I was like with his deep ball touchdowns, he definitely has a decent amount of those. He does have the ability also to fit in tight windows at times, so that's not completely an unknown ability for him or something I didn't see. His best accuracy, I would say, though, is between 10 to 25 yards from what I was watching. As far as what I saw down in Mobile from him, his throwing motion does look a lot better. His ball looks a lot tighter and just better visually to look at overall. And then his hips and his footwork seem to have gotten a lot better from what I was seeing on tape. I know he's working with Jordan Palmer, who was also Josh Allen's quarterback coach last year. So leading up to the draft. So I think he's definitely going to be able to help him out in a big way. As far as the cons go, just statistically, numbers wise, before we get into it, just something to keep in mind. 3 completion percentages in college careers to think about: 56.9, 57 even, and 56.2. Drew Lock had 56.9, Lamar Jackson had 57, and Josh Allen had 56.2. Now, that was brought up with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, but I don't hear it brought up a lot with Drew Lock, and I think it needs to be. When you looked at those 3 together, it's definitely eye-opening. With that in mind, go ahead.
That's what stuck out to me, honestly, was his there were a lot of passes that I felt like his receivers bailed him out, and it could have been a lot worse percentage rate. A lot of times he didn't lead receivers well. He doesn't seem to have the best touch in that aspect. Like, there are so many times I've seen guys that made, like these behind, that were thrown way behind him, and they would catch him. So it made him look. I walked away from this absolutely in love with Albert O, actually.
Yeah,
because I felt Albert O like bailed him out more than I could care for.
I watched Anthony Johnson the other night, and I felt the same way with Anthony Johnson for Tyree Jackson. But as far as Locke goes, a lot of his underthrows are on the shorter throws. Like, he's trying to throw to out routes or like dump offs to receivers, and it's at their feet and their knees, and they're not able to get to it.
It's just a hair behind or a hair below, and it was on. If I had to guess, on those probably 6 games worth of tape that I watched, it was probably like a third of the throws were not like on target, and that scares the crap out of me. I mean, yeah, they got caught, whatever. So, a good chunk of them got caught. Like you said, there are things that I really like about him. I liked he throws a beautiful deep ball. Like, his deep ball seemed better than anything else. I did like he seems like he looks well. He's a little slow to recognize. I thought, like, he didn't flip his head as much as some. He's not looking. He tended to throw to his first read a little too often, which is something a lot of quarterbacks in college do. So I'm not alarming worried about that.
Right.
He's pretty mobile. He doesn't sense the pocket pressure as much as you would like. I think there were times where he had a lot of room to operate in the pocket, and it was starting to collapse, and he would just go. But he throws well on the run, so it wasn't like a natural it wasn't exactly a bad thing all the time, but you'd like to see him stick in there, as long as he can in theory, because that's something. But yeah, he's got a lot of the traits that I think could be successful. I would like to see him land in a situation where he doesn't have to start right away.
Well, I'll tell you right now, John Elway is going to throw him right to the wolves.
Yeah, and as for John Elway's love of him, I can understand it, I guess.
It's the arm. It's the big arm, and that's what he sees. It's kind of like Al Davis saw speed. I think Elway sees the arm, and that's I think not. I'd rather have Case Keenum than Drew Lock.
That's honestly what I thought. I was watching him, and like the way his arm he is on the short passes reminded me a lot of Case Keenum, actually. Obviously not on the deep ball. Case can't throw a very good deep ball. So I walked away from it thinking, honestly, in this class, I think he's probably the third or fourth best quarterback. But I don't see him as being a long-term starter. I think he could be a starter, but I don't think he's going to be a light up the world type of starter by any means. That's my impression. I'm more of a defensive guy. So
yeah.
What is your final impression? What do you think he's going to be in the NFL?
He's going to be a top 10 pick, but I wouldn't have him as a top 10 pick. I mean, I told you earlier, I've mentioned it a couple times in articles and interviews and stuff like that. My grading scale, there's 5 points I'm grading players on. Each position is different, and they can earn 25 points. Drew Lock got 15.75 on average. I weighed all the games I watched as an average, and he got 15.75. Just to give you an idea of the other quarterbacks I've watched to this point, Brett Ripien. Oh, damn things. This internet, I swear to God. I apologize. Brett Ripien got a 16.33 from me. So I actually have Brett Ripien higher than Drew Lock. I know Mark Jarvis, I believe, really likes Ripien too, which makes me feel a little bit better. But just to put an idea, I was not overly enthused watching Easton Stick, but I only have Easton Stick and Drew Lock separated by 8/100ths of a point. So, and Easton Stick's big thing is his arm's the biggest question. Stick is more accurate short term, and then Lock's more accurate deep ball wise. But regardless, you're not going to be successful unless you can learn to be accurate to all levels of the field. And that's why, too, it's important to kind of map out throws if you're watching a player. That's what I was doing, and I was like, all of these circles for completions are less than 10 yards. But at the same time, there's lots of X's that are less than 10 yards. So it's one of those things. Jordan Palmer, I think if anyone's going to fix him, I think Jordan Palmer is going to have the best chance. I think if he does get drafted in the top 10, Case Keenum shut out the noise in LA when he was behind or in front of Jared Goff. I think he'll have to do the same thing in Denver again. They got to let him sit and develop.
Right, and I actually think Denver would be a good spot for him because Keenum should be able to start this year. But they've got a lot of older players on their roster, and their time is taking a little as well. Yes. So we're right about our 10-minute threshold. We had to pause for a second there. But yeah, that's the bottom line. I think he's got the traits, some traits, but he's got to put it all together. I don't know if he can. That's just my own personal opinion. I'm not a quarterback guru, but I see some things I like, but a lot of things I don't. And I walked away not very impressed with him. But
yeah, he can be impressive, but he certainly was. I didn't walk away going, wow, he needs to be a top 10 pick.
Right. All right. That's our first Power 10. That was roughly 10 minutes about Drew Lock. And we're just going to do 5 minutes on a defensive player this week. And then right after this, we've got just our first interview, and I couldn't be more excited about who we're interviewing as well. So I'm having trouble kind of focusing on a task at hand, knowing what we got coming up next. So the first Power 5, we're not going to do a lot of time on this guy because his tape, everything is pretty much spoken for him. He's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. It's Nick Bosa from Ohio State. Let me see here. Let me get my timer ready. We'll spit really quick about Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is 6'3", 270 pounds. He turns only 22 in October, which is amazing. And real quick, statistically, he didn't play much this year. He's only played in 3 games this year and had 4 sacks. But last year, he played in all the games and had 34 total tackles. 16 of them were for a loss, 8.5 sacks, and as well as a couple forced fumbles, I believe. Last year, when he played a full, and this year, he kind of toyed around with the idea of coming back, but then he chose to stay out as to not affect his school, basically, or not affect his draft stock, basically. And Andrew, I'm going to just defer to you real quick. Do you have any initial impressions of him?
Bosa, I mean, I think he can be the number 1 overall pick. I know you've talked before where you don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with that, which I'm sure I'll let you dive into and handle yourself. But, I mean, he's definitely got the bloodlines with his dad and his brother Joey and now Nick. I mean, any team that gets him is going to get a top-end pass rusher. And the top 2 positions getting paid now are the quarterbacks and the people getting after the quarterbacks. So Bosa's value is immense. And I think if you're the Arizona Cardinals, as much as Kingsbury is an offensive guy, I think it just makes too much sense in a division where you got Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, and Jimmy G. You've got to get after those guys, especially when you've got a young offensive or young quarterback. Give him more time on the field. The best way to do that is getting stops, 3 and outs, and so on. So I think Bosa makes the most sense for the Cardinals, and I think it's what I would do for sure. I think he makes the most impact right away.
Right now, my take is going to be, I've said I don't think he's number 1, but he's definitely going to be an IDP asset from an IDP standpoint. Nick Bosa is Joey Bosa is one of my top 3 like overall defensive players, just because he gets the tackles and he gets the sacks. And if you're in a big play league, he's going to probably be number 1 easily if you value the sacks more. And if you don't, he still gets the tackles. So what really stood out for me when I watched him is his outside rush, his speed rush is unreal. The way he works with his hands, it's crazy. He's in the backfield so quickly. He explodes off the ball. I can see what people like about him, but what's worried me the most about him, honestly, was he didn't seem like he had a whole lot other than that speed rush to the outside. He can bend that corner a little bit at times but he's always back at the quarterback. And if he goes inside, he's good as well. But I would like to see him develop more of a repertoire. I don't think I've seen him do a single spin move in every game I watched, or a swim. He doesn't seem to. He relies on that speed rush to the outside, but he's so damn good at it. 17.5 sacks in 27 games played in college. And I don't know how many more, he was right there. I mean, if you counted pressures, it would be like 3 times that. He was constantly, you cannot guard him on the outside. And I see what teams like about him. And he's pretty good at holding the run. If he's blocked and engaged, he still realizes what's going on and can peel off and make tackles as well. So I do like a lot about him, and I think he's going to be very close to what Joey Bosa does. Some people think he's better, and I think that will come with time. I think we'll see if he's better or not, but he's going to be very close to the same type of player. They're both just amazing players on the outside and so much fun to watch, but I'd like to see him develop a little bit more in his game. He'd seem to just rely on that speed rush, and it's amazing. He gets back there so quickly. So I like a lot about him, but for me, I still think he's probably the top IDP asset that might come out of this draft. So those defensive linemen that can do what he does or what Joey does are few and far between, and he'll make some money, man. He's going to be a good one regardless. And I've seen him, if he's not at 1, it's 2 or 3. So, I mean, he's going to be one of the top 3 picks for sure. So unless someone crazy comes up and drafts all these quarterbacks, which never know these days, man.
They're talking about it. I mean, they're talking about if Elway's afraid that Jacksonville or New York's going to take lock,
right?
He might try to trade up to 2 or 3, and I just don't.
Right, and those teams in the top 3 all need a lot of help, and trading down would make a ton of sense for them. But then you don't want to pass on a player like Nick Bosa either, because there's our time. But yeah, so I like a lot about him. he's great at what he does. He's an amazing young player.
He's a Bosa.
What's in that bloodline? Good Lord. These kids are huge, man.
They're like the Matthews.
Yeah. We'll dive into a little more as we rank and we get farther along. But for me, my number one defensive player is Quinnen, just because I think he's got that much more of a difference maker. But at the same time, as far as an IDP asset, Nick might be a little bit better of an asset, because it's hard to find defensive ends that are going to sack the quarterback 17 times and still get 50 tackles too. So, yeah, so it was fun to watch him. I tell you, I wish we had more tape. I wish he'd have played this year and done a little more. But all right, now we have our very first interview. This is kind of exciting. This is a guy that Andrew surprised me out of the blue and hooked us up with an interview for. So
it only cost me a week of my time and a whole lot of money to get down there and to make it happen, to build a connection.
Right. So we'll cut over to Connor, I guess.
I would just say that's it, and then we'll just
that's it right there. I'll splice in somehow,
and then when we talk tomorrow, we'll be like, okay, this is it. Do you want to do our outro?
Yeah, we should, because I'm not going to have time to. I don't want to worry about it tomorrow, I guess.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't want to do it with Connor there and everything. What do we have planned for next week? Are you going to try to get, what's his name? May?
He's going to be on the owner's manual.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next week will be owner's manual.
Yes.
Okay. So I would go with that and say, hey.
Yeah, he wants to do it Wednesday if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tell him you're pretty flexible. If you don't work, you're usually not. You're able.
I'm usually flexible no matter what at this point.
Right. So.
Is he still okay with doing it at like 9?
Yeah, he's fine with the time and stuff. And I told him basically what I was going to try to do is I'm going to go through one of my pigs leagues and one of my other leagues that has Devy players, and take out all the Devies that are picked, so you guys can see, these are probably what most leagues are going to be like. Most leagues that have a certain Devy contingent are going to have roughly these guys taken. So who are we looking for this year? Type of thing. These are guys. Obviously, Tua's not going to be in. Tua, Lawrence, Etienne. All those guys, Jonathan Taylor, are not going to be available in this year's Devy draft for most leagues. So who are we looking at?
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of where we're going to go, and maybe get some just overall strategy about what Travis does and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, if there's a player he wants to talk about and do a
Rondale
5-minute spiel on,
he loves he's a Boilermaker, so he loves Rondale, man. He could probably talk a whole hour on Rondale.
I mean, that's fine if he wants to. Tell him whatever he wants to do. So I would just say for the outro, I would say, hey, next week you'll find us over at Devy Owner's Manual. We'll be back the week after on here, maybe whatever, yada, yada, yada. Because at that point, that'll be the week of we could record and have an episode come out on Valentine's Day. We could have players we love.
Well, I still want to do our things that we just did. And,
yeah.
If we could give a Valentine to 3 players, who would it be?
Yeah, that could be our top 5 or whatever, top 3. We'll make something work. But anyway,
all right.
Ready? If you want to do the outro, yep, I'll just be quiet.
All right. Wow, man. What a great first interview, man. I feel kind of starstruck having someone like Connor come on and talk to us for our first. It kind of makes me feel like all special and tingly inside.
He's a great guy. No, that's what I took away down in Mobile is he's so laid back. He's willing to help people, and he was willing to give us a little bit of his time.
Yeah, just all right. And then real quick, next week we're going to be recording a Devy Owner's Manual with guest Travis May next week, which I'm really looking forward to. He's one of the guys that got me into Dynasty football and got me into Devy football. So I'm like, he's a guy I've talked to for several years and who I respect greatly. He works for Dynasty League football and the goddamn, what's his new one? Dynasty Command Center. There you go. So I'm really excited to have him on, talk some strategy, and we'll go over on that one, players to look for in your Devy drafts this year, because after the Super Bowl is usually when your Devy drafts start. So in 2 weeks from now, Andrew and I will be back, and we will talk about. We'll have a couple more Big Tens and a couple more Power Fives, and then we'll probably go over some players we love because it will be Valentine's week. That's if our old ladies let us record.
Yeah. Can you throw that into consideration for the plan?
I didn't say old ladies, did I? Anyways. No. All right, Andrew, tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me. Actually, this week I'm going to be doing a guest appearance, which I love because it's way less work. And yes, that sounds lazy, but when you work all the time and have 2 kids, it's a little bit nicer to just be a guest. I'm going to be doing an appearance on the Rookie Fever podcast, part of the Dynasty Football Network family of pods, talking about some of the rookies I'm excited about and players to look for and whatnot. I'll be recording that next Monday or Tuesday, so that should come out the following Wednesday or Thursday. So you might get a double dose of me next week in my beautiful voice. Articles, I'm still working on Dynasty Happy Hour, getting stuff out for everyone. Right now I'm more heavily present on the Score Crow just because I am doing more draft write-ups and so on. But that's where you can find me at least. And then on Twitter at DHH_Mandrew. I'll never forget my Dynasty Happy Hour roots for Tyler.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. You can find me on Twitter at FFPeoplesChamp, and we'll be doing some Devy rankings on Dynasty Happy Hour. Those hopefully are coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully some more articles about Devy. And you guys let us know what you think of these, the Power 10s, 10 minutes, about one, or Big 10s where we do 10 minutes on one prospect, and Power 5. Those will be like the kind of probably the lesser prospects, or some of my defensive guys, because then some people out there don't care for the defense. But so we'll be coming at you with this in the Dynasty Owners Manual and bringing you guys. Ever have any questions, please hit us up on Twitter. We both will respond personally and to DMs, and if you just try to go on there and troll us, we'll still respond to you nicely.
We had a gentleman tell Dwight that his opinion today was dumb. It was fantastic.
And I hit him back with niceness because I don't play that game, man.
Yeah, I had a guy DM me about Cody Thompson from wide receiver from Toledo.
Bring me real. Don't say it's a dumb take. Tell me why it's a dumb take.
Yeah, no, I encourage it. I am
all for constructive criticism, man.
Yes.
So, and then our Twitter handle is at Devy Happy Hour and DevyHappyHour@gmail.com if you'd like to email us why our takes are dumb. Anyways, that's all we have for this week, and we look forward to talking to you guys next week from the Dynasty Owner Manual, and then the Devy Happy Hour after that with lots more draft coverage, and we will talk to you guys soon. Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully that did okay on time. I almost brought up this trade I just pulled off.
What would you do?
Someone just shocked the shit out of me. I just got this trade offer.
I would stop recording, so it's not on YouTube.
This is, yeah, I don't care.